This is Season 2, Episode 4 of Skin Diving with the Sharks. This is where I stand and fight. I was led in the conspiracy to overthrow our country, not realizing that the door would slam shut behind me. I was only trying to catch the criminals. By 2016, I was well aware that I had a team of spies following me. I didn't know what the FISA program was. While I was no longer held as a hostage, in a room with a locked door, I was an electronic prisoner. I could only reach the people the feds wanted me to reach. They were still trying hard to force me into the network Sally Yates set up to carry out the heist. This web of government criminals and secret society conspirators wasn't built overnight. As the FBI director Kash Patel says, this network took them decades to build. Many of the conspirators that built this network are still working to keep it intact. Today, you're going to hear the voices and instructions of the spies I caught. Sally Yates was about to slip the dagger under the ribcage of the greatest country on earth. I was powerless to do much about it, but I wasn't going to cooperate with the criminals robbing the citizens' bank and conspiring to take over the greatest country on the planet. You're going to hear the recordings of the people that held me hostage and sabotaged me so that I could not be heard in the top national investigations. Hello everyone, I'm Ferris Broxton. I'm the nation's most important unheard eyewitness in the most critical investigation in U.S. history. I have seen and collected evidence of something you haven't seen, but you need to understand. Today you're going to hear the voices of my tormentors and see the abuse I endured while your country was overthrown. You're going to see the evidence I took of FBI and NSA agents working in harmony to overthrow the United States of America, all on this episode today. You're going to see video of spies pretending to be criminals in order to pass a message. By the end of the video that I'm about to show you, you're going to realize that this phone call I'm about to play is a U.S. government spy calling me to pass a message. The agent is posing as a fraudster. As you're going to see real soon, he's not a fraudster. He's a federal agent. I have to warn you, this has some foul language in it. Notice, I'm acting like I'm trying to give him money, but he won't take the money. At first, this might seem like a common idiot. But wait, I'm going to put the pieces together to show you it's a criminal organization within the U.S. Department of Justice, passing me a very clear message. Clip 1, please.
So you want to pay this amount to IRS, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so how much do you have right now?
I have $1,575 in my hand.
In your hand, right?
Yes, I can take it wherever you want me to take it.
Okay. Do you familiar with any kind of mall, right? Like you have to get the iTunes, okay? iTunes card, okay?
You have to get what?
You have to get the iTunes card, okay?
iTunes?
Card, voucher card.
A what?
You fucker. You just... Hello?
What did you call me?
You fucking idiot asshole. You can't hear me.
Wow.
Hello?
Yeah, I heard you that time.
Just disconnect the phone. Just hang up the phone, you fucker.
So that's what happens when I call the FBI. Not once or twice or 3 times. Many, many different times. I have a whole bunch of those recordings. The message is really clear. Hang up the phone. Stop reporting to the FBI. I'm reporting that I'm an eyewitness in the congressional investigation in 2017. This was one of many phone calls that I got after I called the FBI, attempting to come forward. You heard the message very, very clearly. Hang up the phone. Stop calling all the proper authorities. We're not letting you get through. But we will charge you with tax evasion. As you know, we aren't letting you file your taxes. I got them there too. You're getting ready to see. I did not get inside this network of criminals by any feat of my own. Rather, I was simply responding to the greatest challenge I ever faced, knowing that God had put me here and that He would provide everything I needed to accomplish the task He placed before me. When there's an emergency, most people run to the nearest group or call the police for assistance. Not in this case. This was an attack against our country by the FBI and spy agencies. Trying to force anyone to listen to me would only give the authorities an excuse to silence me by holding me behind locked doors again. The unique events of my early life taught me lessons that I needed to navigate this electronic trap. Lesson number 1, don't grab the microphone. In order to explain how God prepared me, I'm going to tell you a story about something that happened at my junior high school. Before I attended Peachtree Middle School, the institution was attacked at a dance by someone claiming to have a gun. They say lightning never strikes the same place twice, but this time it did. I was relatively new to the community and completely unaware that there had already been an attack in the auditorium where we were gathered. The man who shut down that attack was a military vet. Mr. Barris later became one of my customers. Though I worked for Mr. Barris for years, we never talked about that dreadful night. Everyone else at our school dance knew, except me. Before I graduated from Peachtree Middle School, it would be attacked 2 more times. Both times my fellow students would look to me to help in the defense. One of those attacks was happening right now. The Olympics were scheduled for Atlanta, and a security force had set up down the street at another school. I believe it was the snowball dance, where I was with one of the most lovely ladies to ever grace the halls of Peachtree. The dance was winding down, the students still milling around, while parents circled the parking lot to pick up the students. I was still in the auditorium when I heard people shouting my name. "Get Ferris! Get Ferris!" I had no idea what was going on until people came rushing to me, demanding that I go outside. There were a few other names I heard yelled out, and realized people were shouting for the biggest, bravest students. I was quickly ushered to the front of a crowd. Everyone was focused on the far side of the parking lot. A huge man in military fatigues was yelling some sort of warning and running toward us. He was already winded and had obviously run a good distance to warn us of some imminent danger. At least in my head. The others saw something different. As the massive bodybuilder drew closer, people were shoving me in the back. "Y'all go get him!" I was struggling to understand how everyone saw this man as a threat and not a military guard trying to warn us of a threat. After all, that's why we had a station down the road. The human mind doesn't want to accept the danger until it's inevitable. Then, most people have a tendency to run and let others deal with the threat. When the huge man was closer, he continued to try to warn us that they are coming. The crowd was still yelling to get him. I was more interested in what he had to say. My math teacher, Mrs. V, was standing nearby with a megaphone. She had been calling the dancers when their rides arrived near the auditorium. The massive bodybuilder, unable to get the audience to listen, reached for her megaphone. Miss V jerked the device back out of his reach, and he responded by swatting her to the ground like a fly. At that moment, I was propelled onto the animal by a wave of students. We landed on top of the offender, who landed on the hood of a huge Lincoln Town Car. I was face to face with this distraught man until he was completely subdued. As the pile of students slowly climbed off my back and the conquered beast I was pressed onto, I looked up to see the horrified man behind the steering wheel, inside the car we had crushed. His contorted face was strangely familiar. And then I placed it. It was my ex-girlfriend's dad, the one that made out with some other dude on the church bus. In the blister of emotions that followed the dance, I was the only person who cared what Rambo had to say. When I asked what he was trying to tell us, the response was, "Don't worry about it. Someone put PCP in his steroids. He's crazy." The lesson for me was, don't grab the microphone. You can't make anyone listen to you. So as you watch me videotape the spies I catch, and you wonder why I haven't been heard, please understand that it is you who has the ability to talk and share this video so that I can be brought forward as the most important eyewitness in this country. Episode 3 of Skin Diving with the Sharks ended with me leaving the Bahamas, traveling through the Gulf Coast states and Mexico before taking another job in the United States, determined to stand up to the monsters and collect the evidence against them. This is where I stand and fight. I can't throw a single punch. I have to endure relentless sabotage and just document it, taking the abuse in order to collect the evidence to show how our spy agencies are overthrowing our country. Now, there aren't many jobs available for a truck driver with just 1 year experience. I've already figured out that truck drivers are in demand. But I also know I'll never reach a company that will hire me to use my college degree. The spy agencies are intercepting my phone calls. Swift is one of the largest trucking companies in the nation. It's known by the acronym Sure Wish I Finished Training. Every Swift driver's lounge is decorated with pictures of exotic truck wrecks. When I made it to Phoenix in the October of 2016, I still had a day before my orientation. Knowing that I was going to be stuck in a truck for a long time, I opted to go on a quick journey to get something to study. I made it to Los Angeles and slept in my car at the UCLA Village. When I climbed out of my Jetta the next morning, the sign in front of me said, Broxton Village. I was here to get a set of law books, completely unaware that Sally Yates just signed the FISA warrant against Trump. I hiked up to the bookstore and purchased the books law students were buying for class. Hours later, I was back in Phoenix, ready for orientation at Swift. They didn't have any training for me. They had me sign a few documents and threw me the keys to a really nice truck that everyone was drooling over. I paid another contractor to give me a crash course on the computer, the Qualcomm that the company used to dispatch drivers. That was the extent of my training. That was the beginning of the sabotage. From the time I started with Swift, I was sabotaged by teams, an entire team of people who conspired to hurt me by not doing their job right. I expected this. because I experienced it before. All I could do was respond patiently, document the sabotage, and let everyone make mistakes that hurt me until the pile of mistakes was undeniable. Then I had to present the evidence to the higher bosses and watch them fail to do their job and allow the sabotage to continue. Now, 10 years later, the citizens know that the FBI has obstructed the investigations, and the citizens know that the spies abused the FISA program. All those people who sabotaged me are obviously caught on the videos that you're getting ready to see today. Let's start with one revealing video from November 20th, 2016. This is less than 1 month after Sally Yates signed the FISA warrant against Trump. This video starts with me documenting the time and date using the computer on the truck. Notice that I will immediately say, I'm being harassed by federal agents. I'm going to explain the harassment, and the video will show in real time that what I claim to be happening with the computer is really happening. Clip 2, please. This is Ferris Broxton again. It is November 20th, 2016, 10:30 Mountain Standard Time. I'm in Wintersville, Ohio. I've been documenting some of the harassment by corrupt federal officials here. And so here to protect myself, what I've got to do is I have to be able to send a message. I tried to do it a minute ago and it wouldn't let me do it. See, you can see I'm trying to type, and this thing's completely won't let me. I claimed that it was doing it before when I turned on the camera, and the people that are watching me in real time made it function properly. But here, see, now this is saying diagnostic home and login. That's not even a legitimate screen. I don't have to log in. Somebody has jimmied with this. I'm pressing cancel and it won't let me out. Home. Hours of service.
You have 7 hours and 37 minutes of remaining drive time.
So let's go to where I can compose a message to let them know.
Messaging.
Technically, I have to play dumb. I can't just say, y'all are harassing me, because that's what they're trying to do, is make me look like I'm delusional. Of course, I'm not delusional. I've never been delusional. So what's happening here is I am being sabotaged on all fronts. But I can't confront anybody. I have to collect the evidence and say, this isn't working and that's not working, and oh, you gave me bad information, and I have to play dumb while I'm being attacked. So that if I grab the microphone, I say, hey, I'm being attacked, they say, you're crazy. See the problem? This is what FISA does. This is horrible. The spies are messing with my computer. The planners are planning bad trips. People are acting out skits in front of me to provoke me or convince me to go along with the racket I busted. I'm a threat to the spies if I don't cooperate. They will help me steal the money, but when I threaten to expose them, they'll conspire to frame me. Now let me play another clip from the same day, November 20th, 2016. I'm going to name 2 people that are sabotaging me, but I'm also going to point out that I stung Sally Yates. This video is stamped with that Qualcomm computer. There's no way for me to adjust that timestamp. There was no way I could have known that Sally Yates was using the spy program to run organized crime if I hadn't caught her doing it at that time. Clip 3, please. What I've got here is, somebody that's watching me in real time, preventing me from working, and are doing everything they can to prevent me from working, and then just monkeying with the system. So the person that assigned this load to me was Jody Beach, and then it was Russell Runoffson, anyway, that dispatched me on the load. There's not one individual person, but these names I've been given before by Sally Quillian Yates.
the U.S. Attorney General, who was the federal prosecutor for North Georgia, when I stung the shit out of her. She tried to force me into this racket, and so
Again, there is no way I could have said I stung Sally Yates in November of 2016 unless I had. Nobody knew that she was using FISA to attack Trump at that point. This is why I should be testifying in the grand conspiracy investigation right now for the indictment of the chief suspect, the person that signed the FISA warrant against Trump. It's that obvious. Later in this episode, you're going to see a spy try to have a conversation with me. He will give me instructions with a promise of a lucrative return. When I won't respond to him, he will begin to threaten me, first with prosecution, then with violence. The details of that conversation, combined with this case right here, which you can find at ferrisbroxton.com, down there in the corner, prove everything that I'm claiming is true. When I say the crank calls are coming from the NSA and FBI, it's because the crank calls are coming from the NSA and the FBI. Clip 4, please.
Okay, listen to me very carefully because this is a very important call for you, okay?
Okay.
Okay, now before we moving ahead to your case file, I would like to make two things very clear to you. Number one, these lines are federally monitored and recorded by the IRS headquarters, Attorney General Office, local authorities, and federal municipal courthouse. Number two, do not interrupt me in between and listen to me very carefully. Once I'm done with my part, I will give you a fair enough chance to speak, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Now the thing is that we have done an audit in your tax file between the years of 2008 till the year of 2015.
You heard her say the call was being monitored by the Attorney General's office. That was Sally Quillian Yates' office. You also heard her say it was being monitored by the federal authorities. In other words, this is a criminal spy that's calling you to let you know a message that we have an ability to prosecute you. But they're passing the message in a fashion that other FBI agents can look at and say, oh, there's nothing here. It's just some overseas criminals. We need more money to investigate them. The rest of this phone call is hilarious. But this episode is too important to get sidetracked. We'll have to play those some other time. The reason the spy agencies are using this technique to communicate with me is beyond hilarious. This is a technique, a reenactment, if you will, taken from a call that one of my friends made during a police chase and a manhunt when we narrowly avoided trouble in high school. I can't go into that story right now because I don't want you to die laughing. This is serious. Our national security is at stake here. Okay, so in 2016, I had an XM radio in my truck at Swift. I was able to follow Sean Hannity and the Fox News team at night. This was about the only news I had access to that was covering the real story of how our country was being attacked. My phone was constantly sabotaged. It didn't seem smart to buy a good phone since I had to replace the thing every few weeks. All I could do was cope. Collect the evidence, study my law books, try to make a living, and pray. Any desperate attempt to grab the microphone would result in a long stay at an insane asylum. Nobody knew when Sally Yates signed the FISA warrant against Trump, except a limited number of individuals at the top of U.S. intelligence. Those criminals also knew that I was not cooperating with the criminal organization they were trying to force me into. They knew I would expose them if given a chance. They were determined to hold me down and keep me broke so I couldn't fight back the way I am now. Remember, this entire racket was set up for a massive wrongful imprisonment case that was supposed to have left me mentally challenged, unable to work. These goons are all conspiring to advance the racket, the agreement, the contract I made with Sally Yates when I stung her in my garage 6 years earlier in the engine room. If you haven't seen the previous episodes, you'll want to watch those to catch up on that contract. They are trying to enforce that corrupt contract that I never had any intention of going along with. In the contract, I was supposed to be damaged, unable to work due to the brutal wrongful imprisonment. As you're going to see, I refused to cooperate, and I catch a whole bunch of goons that are trying to make me look incompetent. What is happening is the federal prosecutor is getting the video that I made in the engine room with David Lord in my garage, and they are all falling for the sting. The federal prosecutor is instructing the FBI and NSA agents to cooperate with the contract that I made with Sally Yates when I stung her. What you're going to see is that they realize they are caught in the sting operation. And when they realize they're caught, they can't get out. The people at the top of U.S. intelligence are in on this. Sally Yates herself is the top law enforcement agent over the country. In previous videos, I document an old friend whose name keeps coming up in the engine room when I sting Sally Yates. Sally asked me if I knew Eric and if he would help. Well, the Eric I knew would certainly help me, the one in my yearbook. All I wanted to do was prove that I was just stinging Sally Yates. This is a picture of my friend Eric Peterson at his graduation. Picture 1, please. Eric and his beautiful bride at the Georgia Tech graduation. This completely fits the theme of the sting operation. Georgia Tech is the Yellow Jackets, the sting. The Mustang that I referred to in the previous episodes was a Georgia Tech colored Mustang with the riddle Mustang Sally. Now, I haven't spoken to my old friend Eric Peterson since high school. I've never met his beautiful bride. Sally Yates brought up the name Eric once for Eric Hardinson, who I busted in previous episodes. Then she brought the name up again, Eric Peterson. I just said that he would help me because his story, like Tim Burns' story, would prove my intentions. Thanks. We can go back to me. Now you're about to see a man, a different man, named Eric Peterson, who is preventing me from filing my taxes. I've had an ongoing problem in 2017 because the accountants won't file my taxes. If I pay taxes proving that I'm able to make a good income, then the plan to say I'm unable to hold employment is obviously fraudulent. I prove that I'm trying to pay my taxes, but that the feds are obstructing the process. This is how the federal prosecutor can assure he gets his cut of the stolen money. After I take a settlement claiming I'm unable to work, so a couple $1 million of wrongful imprisonment, a couple $1 million because I can't work from the damage that's been done to me mentally, and then the federal prosecutor can blackmail me by providing my payment records and saying, oh no, actually you were able to make good money. So now that you've seen the NSA and FBI posing as IRS fraudsters, let me introduce you to Special Agent Eric Peterson, who is caught obstructing my ability to pay taxes. I paid Eric Peterson to do my taxes for 2 years because the last accountant before him from my last company wouldn't file my taxes either. Ultimately, I quit my job. I drove across country to that accountant's office and I made her finish the job I paid for. That left Eric Peterson paid for 2 years, but for some reason unable to finish the job of doing my taxes for 1 year. He used the excuse of claiming that he was short $10. I paid twice and have the documentation that they stole my money and even a recording of them admitting so. I had to repeatedly raise Cain with his company to get them to do my taxes. They threw away all the receipts and I had to pay expensive penalties for their criminal actions of delaying my taxes. But I paid them. So when you hear the NSA agents posing as IRS agents, you understand why. The paperwork hasn't come through the mill yet. One criminal doesn't know what's happening on the other front with the other criminal, both of them acting out the conspiracy. I catch both of them. One is saying, we can prosecute you for not paying your taxes, but I have the evidence to prove I was working hard to make 2 different accountants do my taxes. This is just one of many videos documenting Eric Peterson of ATBS obstructing my taxes. Clip 5, please.
Hello, you're Mr. Eric Peterson with ATDS. I'm either away from the desk or on the phone with another client. If you need immediate assistance, please press 2-1 and then you transfer to another associate on my team. Or you may leave me a detailed message at the tone and I'll get back with you as soon as possible. Thank you.
Hi Eric, this is Ferris Broxton, driver code BRFE2. I haven't heard back from you, so if you would, you'd probably be best reaching me on the Qualcomm and letting me know when the best time to call you is. Thank you.
I have a number of videos of conversations with Eric Peterson of ATBS failing to do my taxes. The next video I made, hiding under tree cover at the post office in Phoenix, Arizona, documents that I was sending my receipts, but I knew that this man was going to obstruct my taxes. Our government and secret society is so well organized that they have players that will get into a position, literally take a job, to advance a racket. Once you conspire to steal government money, they can run you like a puppet. Other criminals I caught in this racketeering operation doing the same thing. The Freemasons have an entire database of these criminals. Sally Yates demonstrated this to me. What you're getting ready to see is my first quarter receipts that I sent to Eric Peterson, which he claims to have never received. Clip 6, please.
Okay, I'm at the post office. It's Indian School in 55th. It's just before noon, Mountain Standard Time. It's Phoenix, Arizona. Ferris Broxton. There's my car there. This guy here isn't going to do the job, but I put in here that, you know, the next, who knows, maybe I can convince him to do it. Show him that that's what I want. But in here, this is my first quarter taxes. They will not, they're...
Okay, so I point out there that I know he's not going to do it. They're not going to do them. I understand that this man has literally taken a position to be the person in charge, but that he's going to obstruct my taxes because Sally Yates told me that he would. I even spoke with Eric Peterson when I first hired him and said, I'm an eyewitness. I stung Sally Yates. But see, they have the blackmail over him. He's not going to do what I'm telling him to do. Yates told me that he was her special agent to advance the heist. Okay, that's enough for the IRS prank calls and explanation for now. I've got dozens more proving the same point. The point to remember is that I document dozens of reports to the FBI that I'm an eyewitness, and each time I get a call back from the Indians or Arab IRS agents. Think about this. How could I have predicted that this man would not do my taxes? I have videos of him claiming that he never got any receipts from me, but you saw them. I have a recording of him saying that he was short $10 and couldn't complete the taxes without $10. Then acknowledging that I paid him for a whole year of taxes that he didn't have to do. When I brought the heat, his company just agreed to do the taxes, leaving me with a bunch of penalties and major expenses from the lost receipts. The previous accountant, I had even more fines and fees because she didn't do those taxes. I drove across country when I left Swift to make these people do their job. And I have all the recordings of me telling them for the previous year to do their job, file the taxes. The tax harassment was just one aspect of FISA abuse. There were many others. One day I documented a conversation over the CB radio by two other drivers that were clearly acting out a skit for me. One driver telling another that he ran too well and that he had to slow down. He couldn't make much money because his driver manager was trying to help him by slowing him down. Do you think I picked up on that? Of course. Of course, I realized that it was a skit meant for me. I made a video of myself explaining what the message was and what it meant. Then I set up my video camera, hoping to catch one of these skits in real time. You're going to be shocked at what I caught. What I have clearly documented is multiple people at Swift Trucking Company conspiring to advance a racket and sabotage my attempts to work honestly. The spies are trying to tell me that they are helping me look crazy by slowing me down. They are forcing me into the racket. There is an FBI agent that is willing to represent me and a prosecutor that will make sure I get a huge settlement. They are showing me that all I have to do is cooperate. They are in total control of the purse strings. I can read their messages clearly, but I respond by making it obvious that I'm not cooperating, that this contract that they're trying to push me into was a sting operation. The response from the spies is another skit. So I've told them, no, I'm not going to cooperate. I stung Sally Yates. And their response is a message sent from the FBI agent, a skit. The skit is carried out by a black man with dreadlocks, symbolizing a black ops secret operation that is known to be illegal, hence the dreadlocks. This man comes up behind me. So I'm sitting at a truck stop and I've got a video, just don't have a room on this to present it. This man comes up behind me and repeatedly tells me something. Now he's pretending to talk to somebody else, but he's standing right behind me while I'm looking at CDs, and he repeatedly says one of their foul messages. I'm sorry, this is how they communicate. He says, "Your nose is bigger than your dick." Detective, a prearranged term that I arranged in Sally Yates when I stung her in my garage. Then he says, "I know your big mouth is going to get me in trouble, so I'm done." Now he says the same thing repeatedly. Your nose is bigger than your dick. And I know your big mouth is going to get me in trouble. So I'm done. I'm telling everybody I stung Sally Yates. Let me work. Don't harass me. Don't cooperate with anybody that tries to convince you to do anything wrong. The FBI agent is sending me the message. I know that you're not going to cooperate. The person that you know, your nose, the person you know is bigger than your detective, the FBI agent. This is the FBI agent sending a cutout to tell me I can't help you do what's right because Sally Yates is the acting attorney general. When this was first passed to me, I made a video documenting what the riddle was and what it meant. It was very obvious that that was what it meant, and I knew it at that time. Now that you've told me, this is the FBI agent, now that you've told me it's a sting, I'm going to quit. I'm not going to help you. As you're going to see, the spies try to force me to go back to Gulf Breeze, the island of Gulf Breeze in Pensacola, and cooperate with the contract as it was originally planned. I recorded a person at Swift, recorded her on her voice reciting Gulf Breeze when I called to let them know that they needed to straighten out their planning. This was extremely devastating because it meant that not only would they not help me restore my relationship with my kidnapped child, they weren't going to provide me with relief, but they would only continue to harass me and try to run me out of town. The harassment is relentless. One day, I'm given a load to go one way. They terminate the assignment and send me back over the same stretch of road. They continue to change plans, forcing me to drive back and forth over the same stretch of road 8 times. I have it all on video. It would be really obnoxious to put it all together and play that out for you. My driver manager quits. My next driver manager takes a week off. A driver depends on their manager to keep them rolling and to plan their loads and organize everything and take care of the things that the driver can't take care of. Then the company begins to leave me parked for days on end without giving me an assignment or answering my calls. It's as if the spy agencies are using me to practice intercepting phone calls. Oh, I videotaped all of them. Videotaped the answer machines and so forth. When I call the company and they act like there's nobody there. Big, huge trucking company. Nobody answers the phone for days on end. I'm sending messages and text messages and messages on the Qualcomm. I finally tell them, route me back into the terminal so that I can turn in my truck and quit. They won't even let me quit. Graphic 2, please. This is a screenshot. They send me to a place. Well, first, this happens repeatedly. But what this says here is this is a screenshot from that Qualcomm, and it says, send me to Phoenix now. I have waited for over a week. Now, I've got to make a truck payment. I'm a contractor, so I'm losing money because they will not allow me to work. I said, send me to Phoenix now. I have waited for over a week. Holding me against my will is a felony. I've made it very clear I want to quit. Let me out of the truck. They send me to a place called Havasu and leave me parked without responding to calls or messages again for several days. Have a sue. Could it be any more obvious that they are trying to encourage me to have a sue? You can't work, but we'll help you steal government money. Steal your money. Is it obvious that they're advancing a racket? As I demanded to be routed back in so that I can quit without abandoning the truck, I finally catch a spy on video. This happens near Salt Lake City, Utah. A spy comes over the CB on my truck telling me that he will help me if I do what he says. He says he can get financial backing from one of the biggest bankers in the country for a fraudulent lawsuit. He points out that due to the current situation, people are beginning to realize that they spied on Trump. And this spy is saying, due to the current situation, the settlement will be extremely lucrative. One day, I'm going to stand before God. My soul isn't for sale at any price. I never respond to the spy. Instead, I go into the truck stop and take a shower. When I get back to my truck, the spy comes over the intercom again and wants an answer. He begins by asking, so what you gonna do? He's laid out all these options, said that he'll help me, said that I'll make tons of money, and I still haven't responded. So he's asking me, at the beginning of the recording you're getting ready to hear, he says, so what you gonna do? I'm going to play an extended section of that recording now. This is the second portion of the one-way conversation between me and that spy. I explain myself and narrate about what is happening on the video, but I never press the button on the CB. I'm not talking to the spy. I'm not conspiring with him. I'm not responding to him. But I'm talking to the camera to explain to the audience who will one day see the video, you. As you're going to see, this spy can hear me inside of my truck, even though I'm not broadcasting on the CB. He's probably using my phone as surveillance. When he realizes what I'm doing, he threatens to stomp out my family members. This clip is 2 minutes long, taken out of a 12-minute conversation. Clip 7, please.
What you gonna do?
Same day here. It's April 6th. Let's see, the delivery would be tonight. So it's going to be... I made several videos today. It delivers at 4:07, 1 o'clock in the morning. So it's 4:06, 5:45 Mountain Standard Time. As soon as I get back in the car, I just did the bug bomb here. Just got back from my shower.
You and every single one of the people that was involved with orchestrating this for their own personal satisfaction, means, and desires. And there's not a one of them gonna sit in that seat and gonna lie. Not a one of them.
This is fantastic. See, what you got here is you got somebody that just came on as soon as I got in the truck.
Then when they get through, let me tell you what would be the results here. When they got through with the court hearing, they would be putting the handcuffs on every damn single one of them, and they'd be going to prison. And if you don't believe it's true, do it. Just put it together. I dare you to. I dare you to.
I get in here and they're saying, you know, you're tough now, but when you do this, you'll be shaking like a leaf on a tree. When you sit before in the courtroom before the jury with all the marshals and all of the whatever, but he said U.S. Marshals. It was obviously he's referring to a federal courtroom. He said you're going to be shaking like a leaf on a tree. So what I got here is I got somebody, obviously at this point, that's got surveillance in the vehicle. They started as soon as I got in. They were a little bit quieter when I made it.
No, you don't want to do that. No, because then you can't hide. You get nowhere to hide. You don't want to do that.
So you can see that the spy knows it's a racket. He dares me to put it together. As you can see, I've been putting it together the whole time. I want to play you another section after he realizes that he can't intimidate me into cooperating. Clip 8, please.
Women and kids. You're trying to make people afraid of me. The only people who need to be afraid of me. Some of these boys driving these old worn out ass beats. The rednecks on the bitches. They know who
So that's April 6th, 2017. I've refused to cooperate with numerous threats against me. Malicious prosecution for tax evasion. Everything. I've made it clear that I'm an eyewitness against Sally Yates, and I'm not going to stop saying that, no matter if you threaten me or my family or my friends. I'm determined to come forward in the national investigations. I turn in my truck with Swift, and I plan to go to D.C. to make sure that I'm heard by Congress. I drive across country to go to my previous accountant that still hasn't done my taxes. I go to her office and make her, and all she's saying is, oh, you paid it, you just have to sign this. Well, if they can intercept emails and phone calls, it's really easy for them to prevent you from filing your taxes when you're a truck driver and your accountant's on the other side of the country. Now, I have a storage shed in Phoenix with a small collection of my belongings. I go to Home Depot and build a roof rack for my car so that I can take my belongings with me. While I'm at Home Depot building the roof rack, the spies lock me out of my car. Now, you can't lock yourself out of the car. I can't. It's not possible for me to lock myself out of that Volkswagen Jetta. You have to have the key fob in your hand to lock the door. They use the satellite system to lock the doors while the key fob is inside the car. Obviously, they're watching me by satellite. I call a locksmith. 2 hours later, when he finally shows up, he has the same message that I've received so many times before. He casually asks me where I'm from. I say Atlanta. The Latino locksmith says, oh, I have a friend in Pensacola that would help me anytime I need a hand. Now let me repeat that. The Latino locksmith says, where are you from? I said, I'm from Atlanta. And he responds with, oh, I have a friend in Pensacola that will help me anytime I need a hand. If you follow this case, you know that Sally Yates made a puppet out of my uncle Robert Moreland, who lives in Pensacola. He was supposed to be the person that relayed messages from the criminals and helped me advance the racket. Instead of going to Pensacola or Gulf Breeze, I went to the FBI in Salt Lake City. I know they are the people doing this. You're going to see how badly I catch their prettiest agent in a later episode. Still, they are the proper authority to report the crime to, as well as reporting that I'm a witness in what is now a national investigation. So when I show you the video of the FBI turning me away, it's obvious that they are committing a felony. Now the world knows that the FBI has obstructed the investigation for the last 10 years. So 6 days after that CB threat, I go to the Western FBI headquarters in Salt Lake City, Utah. I go in and sit down with a man named Jim. Jim is a very tall man. When I later see Jim Comey, I wonder if this isn't the man I sat down with in Salt Lake City. This is the video I made when I got out of the meeting with Jim at the FBI Western headquarters. As you're going to see, the FBI runs me off. While this is under investigation, the FBI clearly obstructs the investigation and runs me off. Watch clip 9.
You can see the time and date. I've been in there for just over an hour. When I filled out the form that they gave me, which was very similar to the last form, there's the duty agent. That's all he gave me was his name, Jim. He was tall, probably about 6 foot. He had a salt and pepper hair, salt and pepper goatee, short, a little more full. But I spoke with him. They were efficient in getting me inside, and I took me back to a room and I spoke with him. Got into tremendous detail about the case, explaining the relationship between how long I've been kept in jail, the relationship with Judge Motes, Pam Dodd Motes, and Sandy Saxton, very eloquently explained. He wanted to know how it related to Salt Lake. I went on to talk about what was going on with the case with Swift and how I came to Salt Lake. I told him about the video that was made over the CB radio, and he listened, and until he got everybody's name and pretty much could tell what had happened, pretty much listened to the whole story, but never got the whole story, and then just said, I can't help you. So there's nothing I can do here. I don't see why the FBI in Salt Lake would care. Didn't show any concern at all for, how you doing? He didn't show it. I'm sorry? Okay, I'll leave. You can see how they are here. Can I get your name? No. Okay, can't get his name. He's gonna make me leave and I can't get his name. So, you got that very well documented there, and they're hostile. They're gonna run you off if you try to make a video. So I'll just leave this camera running hopefully here until I can get out. That's, you can see him. He's hostile as can be. I haven't done anything to them. Didn't have any adverse but they won't even let me document what's happened. And he's sitting back there now writing down my tag on my car. So that is a type of activity by our federal government that is absolutely intolerable.
From the FBI in Salt Lake City, I traveled to Washington, D.C. I made numerous reports to the intelligence oversight in both houses of Congress, to the FBI and the DOJ. I did everything you can imagine to be heard. The ability of the FBI to instruct investigations is the fault of the lawmakers. They must write laws requiring the FBI to give records of who reports to them and who is responsible for handling the reports. When I left DC, I went into the wilderness. Can we get some of the clips from the wilderness? I lived in the wilds of Yellowstone with spies following me. The Grand Tetons, the Grand Teton National Park, the Lost River, the Frank Church River of No Return Wilderness, and the crags of Idaho. I live off the land, trying to survive with spies following me and making sure that I wouldn't reach anyone that could help me or help me be heard. I was hoping that someone in some agency or some senator would respond to one of my countless reports. From Heaven's Gate to Hell's Canyon, I lived off the land with bison, wolves, elk, and several big bears in my camps. I fish and forage, living off the land, expecting to be sought out as a witness or killed. Spies follow me into the mountain crags of Idaho. I lose them by climbing a treacherous waterfall known as the Wild Mile, seeking refuge at elevations that still have snow on the ground in September. Then I come back to Salt Lake City, where I meet a lovely young woman who turns out to be a spy, trying to keep me from working. I find employment through the only open door. Then I find out I'm working with a team of spies. I'm sharing an address with the lovely FBI agent in charge of my case and driving a truck that belongs to her. They invite me to go to Bailey's, but instead I escape to DC again, trying one more time to be heard in the nation's top investigation. Then to North Dakota, where I bust another team of spies trying to advance the racket and obstructing the top national investigation again. Today is July 24th, 2026. At this point, the world knows that the FBI destroyed the evidence, but the world doesn't know that I have a copy of it all and that the witness is still alive. The grand conspiracy investigation is going on across this country, particularly in the Southern District of Florida, But the U.S. attorney in North Dakota is caught obstructing the investigation. After he was caught in the same sting as the other U.S. attorneys before him. The former U.S. attorney, the first one to get caught in North Dakota, is now the state attorney general. The corruption here is rampant. I'm doing everything I can to be heard. Your mind should be telling you that the danger facing our country is inevitable. I've stepped out to fight in the defense of your freedom against the corrupt authorities conspiring to overthrow our country. You can run, or you can help others deal with the threat. So far, all of my efforts to be heard have fallen short because too few people have helped me be heard. I'm asking you if you will help me free America from the deep state by liking, sharing, and following my website. Next time, from the swamp creatures of Washington, D.C., to the beast in the wilderness, to the lovely ladies that work for the FBI. Till then, be safe,